Hey there. All right. Thank you so much for forgiving me about the last week for the blocks, but I know that y'all knew how to do it because there were 9 of them. So I finished that block and I repaired 2 blocks that I messed up. So if you messed up, don't worry about it. Even when you think about it, you can mess up. So what we're doing now today is we're putting it all together. So we're putting row 1, row 2, row 3 together. We're putting in the sashing. There's 2 sashing rows, and then we're putting the border on the outside. So basically we are finishing this quilt today. And I know a lot of y'all have already done it, and I feel kind of awkward doing it because I know y'all finished, and this is kind of parts that are a little bit easier. Quilters have done these parts before, but in terms of finishing the sew along, I really wanted to go ahead and do that. So this time is less about me telling you how to do this and more about us just sewing along together, and hopefully, maybe you'll get something from it, maybe not, but we're finishing the quilt today. So anyway, it's Sew Affordable week. So it is, I'm actually filming on Monday of Sew Affordable. It's about, y'all be getting this tomorrow morning. It's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's already been kind of a long day, but I wanted to get this done and see this through, and hopefully y'all will enjoy this quilt. I know that I do a lot, and I would like for all of y'all to send me pictures of your tops or your finished quilt by the end of October. And then that way you'll get like the patch and everything that I'm having made. And also I'm going to send all of these to Stephanie Organis, and maybe you could write a sweet little note to her on the sew along page, and I will forward that to her. I know she'll really, really appreciate that. Okay, guys, let's start. I'm going to start by making the sashing rows and kind of getting those ready, because I know when I get there, I'm just going to want to sew them. All right, let's start sewing. Okay. All right, I have my sashing pieces here, and I've got the little cornerstones. So we're gonna do these first. And of course I don't have the directions, but I remember what it said about it. We're going to do 3 units, 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna do this twice. So 1, 2, and 3, and the rest of these are for when we piece the blocks together. All right, so it's striped. Decide which way you want to go. I think I'm going to go up and down. I think that might be fun. So I'm going to go up and down with them and just sew a couple of these together. I know you don't need to sew all of them, but you know me, I'm really into chain piecing, so I want to go ahead and get these on 2, and I'm leaving 1 out there. Let's go ahead and do this one, 3, and 4, and I hope that's all that we need to do. Maybe I should jump over there and look at those instructions real quick. Yeah, it's just 4 that we needed. Okay, so these must have just been extra. I'm going to set those to the side. Okay. And instead of me running over to the ironing board, 500 times, there'll be times that I really do need to go press. I'm just going to kind of finger press with the By Annie stiletto here and just kind of move forward. So this one, it said press to the sashing fabric. So we're going to kind of press it over to that angle. That way, when we put the rows together, they nest, and it makes it pretty nice. All right, and we're going to press that one. All right, just go through and get those going. I love this by Annie stiletto. It is by far my favorite, and I have other stilettos. This one I always go to. It's longer. I love how it's wooden. It's very ergonomic. I love this stiletto. All right. Now, I know it looks like a big mess here with all these pieces, but there is a method to my madness. All right, so what we need to do, since we've done that, you have to sew one that already has one on there. If you sew the other one, then it's not going to be spaced right. So we're going to sew it like that. I'm going to put this one to the side, and then we're going to do the same for the other one. We're going to sew that piece on. Because you know me and chain piecing. All right. And these are just real easy and something I just wanted to kind of get out of the way. Okay. And we are pressing outwards on all of these. I don't think I'm going to take these over to the machine. I think they'll do just fine without going to the machine. Okay, so we have one, and we need to attach the other long piece onto the end where it's end with one of the cornerstones. Now we need one of the plain pieces that we did not attach it to. And there we go. Now that one's done. Fun, fun, fun. Hopefully you understood the method to my madness. I like my chain piecing, but I do have to keep up with it. So, yeah. It's hard to tell the front and back from white, but one was a little more rough, so I'm going to assume that's the back. There we go. Okay, we are done with the sashing pieces for the rows. I'm just going to press that out a little bit. And this one as well. See, the other ones are staying down pretty good. Okay, now these literally get set to the side for right now. These are when we get the rows together. And how I'll do it is I will sew all the rows together and then I will put those on. Okay, we need these because we've got to put some of these on. But first I need to get the correct order of the quilt. So I'm going to grab my little thing here. I know it's not this one. This is the last one. And the blue one is next to last. I'm not concerned about which way they go necessarily. I just want to get the set of 3 together. That's next to last. Ooh, it got quite dark in here. I may turn on the light because it's getting kind of cloudy outside. Let's see if that's a little better with the lighting. Just a little bit, not too much. A little more shadows. Okay, and so then the next one's kind of that orange looking one. Yep. Okay, so this is the bottom row. This is the bottom row. Now's a good time. I guess I will do this since I've got these here with me. I am going to, this is the first one. Make sure that it's turned the correct way, which this is the way it is supposed to go. And it doesn't matter top and bottom, they're the same, so I'm not going to worry about that. This was actually one I had to fix. Very frustrating with myself, but okay. Because these are so long and we're going to sew the sashing on, I'm going to pin it. I'm kind of a pinner and I don't want it to be short or I have to stretch or anything else like that. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and go ahead and pin. I think it looks neater. You don't have to worry when you're sewing as much about making it stay right in line. Other people aren't like that. Other people, they like to, let me take this out. Other people like to just kind of go for it. And you know what? More power to you. It hasn't worked out so well for me. So I definitely pin, and that is something, you know, you do, you know you, and you know your sewing habits better than I do. So I am not one to tell you how to necessarily do it, just kind of, you know, give you tips that I have, and maybe they'll help you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and sew this sashing onto the first one. All right, so we got the first sashing on. This may be one of those places where I like to, well, it wants to lay kind of the way it tells you in the pattern. So I'm going to go for it and just go ahead and put those on, kind of give it a finger press, and then I'll give a really good press at the end. We'll see how much I can go. But normally this would be a time that I would get up and press this, right? Because I'm a presser. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side. The next one in line is the bluish one. Make sure it's going the way that the pattern says, and it is. So I'm going to turn it this way, and we're going to put another sashing strip on, if I can find it. Here we go. Lay it on here, line it up. Oops, that's not quite right. This is really what takes this kind of thing the longest for me, is because I do take the time to pin everything. So this video will be a little bit longer because I'm a pinner. But the sewing goes kind of quick. Okay, we're putting this on the opposite side from where we did. This will be the last sashing that we have to put on this row. Do it the first and second, and then just sew them together. And then we'll be done with row 3. So I've kind of started from the bottom because, you know, I sewed number 1 to number 9. So of course, I'm starting sewing the bottom together first. Woo. And spun out there. All right. And just like that. Okay, I'm going to give this a little bit of a finger press. All right. And I tend to be one of those people that I do everything that the row asks for, and then I move on. So like we'll sew these all together, and then I'll even put that top sashing on before I move to the next row, because when I get to the last, I just want to go for it and be done. I'm kind of that way. All right, so making sure that I'm turned the right way, and even though this is nice and easy, I'm not having to match up any seams, I want to pin this just so it doesn't get wonky, because it's wanting to kind of gape a little bit, and I don't want it to be wonky at all. All right, pin on this end, so now I've got a good start to it. Well, I hope that y'all have heard about the So Affordable week that we're having. What I do is I create these kits that are very affordable. They're kind of fun. They're quick. Great for gifts, or if you want to use them yourself, kind of like I did on one of them. Can't tell you because I drop a new one every day and I don't give too many hints. If you've gotten the box, you've got the hints. That's kind of my way of letting the box people have a little sneak peek. All right, let's sew this down. I think what I'll do, so it doesn't get too boring of a video, is I will show you this row and put the sashing on and show y'all how to do the sashing. And then I'll just kind of power through the rest of it. And then at the very end, we'll talk about the outside borders. But this pretty much is the same way. There's nothing special to this. It's just kind of match it up, pin it, sew it, match it up, pin it, sew it. You let's keep sewing, 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 just keep sewing, sewing, sewing. Pin and sew, pin and sew. And I do think that's an important part. So that's why we're doing this first one together. And then what I'll do is I'll just keep sewing and I'll speed it up, speed the video up so we can kind of get through it and get to the border. And you can imagine that it goes that fast for you and you can put the border on like that. We'll put the two sides. Then I will press because I am going to press after this. I mean, I'll put the sashing on, but then I'm going to give it a good press. That way y'all don't have to be so bored with me out of the picture. All right, get all this over here. And let's sew this next row. Because what this means after this is that bottom row is all sewn together. There you go. Now it's all sewn together. It's amazing. And I can't even really show you that much. all around with this nice little border in between. All right. So these are going in towards the sashing. I really should give this a press. Let me give this a press. It would make me feel better, and I think it'll make the quilt come together a little better. I'm going to press this, and then we'll put on that long sashing, and I'll show you how to match up those seams, and then I'm just going to get to sewing. Okay. Did I sew them on wrong? No, I didn't. I was thinking I sewed them on wrong. And you know what? If I had sewn them on wrong, they were going to stay that way because I don't think the color arrangement matters too much. All right, where did I put? Over here. We need one of these. I grabbed two. We need one of these sashing strips. One of these sashing strips. This is the first block of the row, so I'm going to kind of start from this end. Where I'm actually going to start, though, is I'm going to pin first with this first sashing and this first cornerstone. They had you you press your seams in the opposite direction so that you can match this up. And I'm going to pin right there. It matches up beautifully. I mean, it just really comes together nice. And right there. And so you guessed it. Guess which one I'm going to do next? I'm going to do the other cornerstone next. Make sure that those get in the right places, because if this piece wants to come over the edge a little bit, which it doesn't, but if it did, I would just trim that off, right? Doesn't matter. But these matching are very, very important. So we are going to match those seams up because the seams are in the opposite direction. Let's see if you can see that. This way and this way. So then you just match that up. And you can feel it if it's overlapping or if there's a gap. It should feel pretty solid. If it's overlapping, it feels like there's a lump, and you just kind of work it until it doesn't feel that way anymore. And if you feel a gap, then if you want, you feel a gap and you can't make it come together without it bulking up the fabric, like bunching up, then you might want to consider taking out that seam and taking out just the tiniest little piece to get it to fit better. Okay, now I'm going to pin in between those first. Make sure that that matches up really good. Look at that, perfect. Just going to pin. And like I said, I like finishing everything that I have to do with that row before I move on to the next, because then it's just ready. So like for the middle row, what I would do, sew it together, right, with all the sashings and everything. Then I would sew this piece to the top that we're doing right now with this one, and then I would sew that whole thing to this piece. That way when I get to the top row, once I sew it on, it's on, and we are in business with getting done with it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to look and see how this is lining up. Not that I'm real concerned about if it goes long. I can trim that off. It was those middle two pieces that I was mostly concerned about. And this one is maybe 1/8 of an inch longer. Perfectly. I mean, it's so close. See, it's like maybe 1/8 of an inch off. I can trim that off easy. I'm not concerned about that at all. I am going to put one at the end because I don't want it to get too bulky or anything. Okay. And I still have to pin the beginning. All right. And this one is pretty much spot on. Let's make sure everything. Oh, nope, it's about 1/8 of an inch off too. But I'm not worried about that. All right. Let's pin and pin. I know I pin a lot on these, and I pin my borders too. I'm a pinner. Okay, let's sew this on, this long strip. And these are tiny little strips, right? They're real thin, but it really is helpful because you're not having to match up any seams, which is, or just the two cornerstones, but that makes it super easy. And because you've pinned, you can be confident that your seams are matching up. Okay, we're coming to our first cornerstone. Use your stiletto to keep that flap down. Don't get your hand caught up in there, your fingers. Okay. I was just checking my undersides because I don't like to flip seams. And I know that I'm not checking every one, but I'm feeling them with my fingers and making sure that they don't flip. Is it perfect? Nah, I miss a seam every now and then, and that's when you can take the time, unpick, re-sew. But if I don't think it's adding much, I won't do that. Like adding bulk, I won't do that. Okay. That was our second cornerstone. We are almost there. Okay, that one got flipped. All right, we've sewn this together. And that one is on. Let's look at the seam here. Oh, look how beautiful that is. Just perfect. The sizes in this pattern just, I mean, it is a well done pattern. That looks beautiful. I'm just going to clip that thread out. Just matching up is perfect. All right, this is where I'm going to start speeding things up. I'm going to go press this out, start doing the next row. It's exactly the same, and pressing that, and the next row is exactly the same. And as I get towards the top row, finishing sewing that, I'll come back live again and we'll talk about borders. All right, here we go. All right, we have finished sewing all the rows together. Yep, it looks great. Let's check the other one because one of them was a little off. Nope, it did great. Perfect. All right, so now I still need to press this because pressing is important. And the reason why is so that you know, everything matches up nice and neat. It goes together easier. Now we still have to put the borders on. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is a little bit, it's actually a lot easier for me to pin at my ironing board where I can spread it out. I can do it faster too. So we'll kind of do the borders the same way that I did this, where we're just going to kind of speed it up. And it's just a matter of, you know, just sewing. It's really not too big. Normally, I would sew to the sides first and then the top, but this pattern has you doing opposite. It has you sewing the top and then the sides. So we will do that. So right now I'm going to iron this. I'm going to iron this, and then I'm going to pin the top and the bottom on. I'll pin both, and I tend to like to do that. I pin both of the sides at the same time. That way I'm not up and down, up and down, up and down, because one is not dependent upon the other for pressing. So I will do that, and then we'll sew the top and bottom and check in, and then I will go press those out, because it is, both of those are contingent upon the sides. Then I will pin both sides, sew, and we are done. Oh my goodness. Can you believe it? It was kind of quick. This was quick for me. What, like 12 weeks? 11, 12 weeks? That's really quick for me. All right, let's get this done. Okay, I have everything pinned. Well, the top and bottom. All right, let's get this sewing. I got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of borders. I mean, I like borders when they're already done, but not sewing them. And I think it's because it's at the end. But I'm a love binding. I do love binding. My husband always tells me that I'm a 90% person. This is why I don't like doing borders, because I'm 90% of the way done, and the last 10% always gets me. I have to push through. That's okay. It has nothing to do with y'all. I enjoy these sew-alongs, I really do. It's just borders. Do y'all kind of feel the same way? You're like, I got all that piecing done. Now I just got to put these freaking borders on. All right. But we're getting it done. We are definitely getting it done. I will say when I get to them, they're easy to sew. It's just pin and go with it. I'm stuck on a pin here. And yes, because I pin so much, I do usually stick myself a couple times, but I like not having to get up and down, up and down, up and down. The vibration is pulling my pins out. Okay, we're almost done with this row. It's kind of wonky up here with all the computer and all the wires and everything that are on here, and my fabric kind of goes a little wonky. That's why I have to adjust quite a bit. All right, top one's on, top one's on. Now let's flip. pull it all the way out. Kind of push that down. All right, here is the bottom or the top. I don't know which one I sewed first or did first. All right, top and bottom border's done. I'm going to press it out again and pin the two sides on. Then we are done. Did y'all feel this way when you got done? I know there's a couple of you. Kristen, maybe Chris. I think y'all got done. I don't remember seeing anybody else's. And Chris, I don't know if you're totally done. But we are getting there. And as much as I hate borders, I am so excited. I'm so excited to get done, right? You're getting done with a quilt. It's amazing. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. All right, we are on our last borders. I pinned both sides so we can just keep sewing. You know, I like Dory. Keep sewing, 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 just keep sewing, sewing, sewing. Oh, it's the fun part, right? I moan about the borders, but you know, to see the final product is just, it's absolutely amazing. And I just have that childlike wonder with sewing. Maybe I've mentioned to y'all, maybe I haven't. Every now and then I talk about it, and I've been thinking about it today too, especially with the Sew Affordable and all these small projects. Those in particular made me think about this. Isn't it just amazing that we can take these fabrics? They're just fabrics, right? They're just fabrics. And we can make something so useful and amazing with it, right? That is our power, and we can do that. Maybe I'm just, you know, simple or something, but not everybody knows how to sew, right? And I know there's a difference between clothing sewing and quilting, but I guarantee you, if push came to shove, I could take apart a shirt and probably recreate it, right? Because I know how to sew. And I just think that is the most amazing thing, right? That we can do that. We can have a birthday party that we need to go to, and we can make them a cork wallet, or we can make them, um, you know, a pouch to keep their toiletries in, or we can make them a quilt, right? A quilt as well. But I know that quilts aren't as accepted as some of these smaller projects. A wine tote. You can, I mean, hot pads, right? You can make hot pads. Like, that's a miracle to me. I don't know about y'all. All right. So just in that musing, we've sewn the first one on. Oh, look, and it got blurry for y'all here because it's focused on this beautiful fabric. All right. Now let's flip it over and get to that last edge. And I know I'm not going to be able to hold this up so y'all can see it. Ooh, I've got lots of threads on my floor. Wow. Obviously, I need to sweep. All right, here we go, last one. I hope that y'all think about that, right? Sometimes, how amazing it is. Because we all know people that sew, but really, there's a lot of people that don't. And that is your superpower. All right, let's get situated. I'm a little bit unorganized here. It's getting heavy and pulling down on it. So I'm going to flip some of that up. All right. We are about to start the last block. Get it all straight. This is the last few inches. Oh, no. That was just the first one. I thought we had gone further than that. That's funny. But we are on the last strip, so here we go. Nope. I want that to flip the way it's supposed to go. Now we're on the last block. And if you've been watching the main page, Mr. Threaded Lines he's not finished, but he has pieced together his first quilt. I am so excited for him, and he just had a light in his eyes, and that's what I mean by being excited about sewing, right? He does want to put some borders on, which I think would be good. So I'm going to have to teach him how to square up the quilt, because his quilt is pretty, like, not even rhombus. We got to square it up a little bit, and then put some borders on, and I'll teach him how to do that too, and he will have a lovely, lovely quilt. I can definitely tell the difference from where he started and, you know, this weekend when he sewed. Okay. We're going to wrap it up here. We have sewn it together. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to hold this up to show y'all. I'll have to have Mr. Threaded Lines hold it up. Now, on these rows, I did have the border that was this long. I know you're supposed to cut it to size, but I never do. So what I'll do is I'll press it out, and then I will trim these edges. It's both on the top and bottom. And press it out, and then I will give the entire quilt a good starch. So that's how I finish it. Trim any threads and give it a good starch, and then get a backing and take it to the long armor, or quilt it yourself if you have a long arm, or you just want to quilt on your domestic. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm going to send it off to a long armor though. We use Patty from Lola and Viv. So yeah, just pressing it out, giving it a good starch, and then I will show y'all what it looks like. I guess I can try. Let's see. I'm gonna bump the camera around. Ooh, bump around, bump around. And I need to bring it up. Let's see, there we go. These were the sides. Yes, this is the top. So, yeah, see, I can barely even show y'all. So, but y'all, I mean, you can see kind of how it goes. It's very wide. Looks beautiful. Everything came together really, really well. So there you go. We are done. Yay! Congratulations. Show me your finals, and I'll put you on the list to getting your patch. All right, guys. Have a wonderful week, and if you can, check and see what the Sew Affordable is all about. It's kind of a fun little week that we do. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this adventure. I know Stephanie is excited to see your quilts, and maybe I can convince her to come into our group and do a little chat with us or something. All right, guys, it has been so much fun, and I have so enjoyed spending this time with y'all. Hopefully you'll join me on another one. We've got Sweet Tooth coming up, and I've got some other things kind of in mind too. So, all right, guys, thank you so much, and I can't wait to see your quilts. Bye.